present of that basic need is satisfaction. However, the question, can you motivate the person in the absence of the basic needs, in the absence of the security needs? Let's have a look. Because all these three here are psychological needs. Motivation can be touched by psychological. The person cannot be motivated by just increasing the salary. Yes, the person can be happy. The person can be satisfied, but not motivated. Because motivation is taken with this psychological needs. You can be motivated if you are in the group, you're happy, it gives you a fulfillment, and it motivates you more if you are being recognized as, yeah, I am the one who's leading this. I am known by this organization. I have a key role in this organization. So these are the motivators. So even if you don't have anything in your pocket, if you're known, if you're famous, if you've been recognized by your company, by your community, you can be motivated. Okay? So might be for some a little bit touch, a little bit tough, but if the idea of Maslow here is you can motivate anyone to work on something, to drive for ambition, even in the absence of the basic needs. So, there are so many successful people that came from nothing. They came from nothing, but they're already successful because of the motivation that they have. So on top of it, once you're successful, you have that self-actualization. So this is one of the Maslow's hierarchy of need. Okay. Right. And this motivation factor theory of Maslow's has been derived by Herzberg. Okay, so through that satisfaction and motivation. Okay. The basic needs. Hold on. Hello, pre. Tawagan kita, nasa klase pa. Okay. Okay. So, the two levels, the basic and the security, are satisfiers only. So if it is there, the person, the individual is happy and satisfied. But if it's not there, they are dissatisfied. However, on the other three levels are psychological needs. Okay? If it's there, it motivates them. Okay? And in the absence of that, it demotivated. They are demotivated. So it is essential in a group, in a team, if you are managing team, to recognize your staff. It is important to let your staff feel that you are part of the QEQC team, that they are part of a family or a project that very close, because it will satisfy them to be, that social needs, that social belonging. So if you will notice, there are companies that they feel their family. And people, even if they're not being paid so high, are enjoying, are happy, and are happy in that company because of that sense of belonging or the social, satisfying the social needs. And they are being recognized. See? So this is where our employees should go to be motivated. Because the high the motivation, it's better for you to run the company and achieve the goals with minimum supervision. Okay, so this is it. Hold on. Oh. All right, it's not working. So let us see. Let's go this. Hmm? Yes. We can. Okay. The next theory is okay. So it's part of of motivation of Herzberg to two factor theory. that the hygiene factors are only that the basic needs, the security needs, and on the other hand, the motivators are those that related to touch, to feelings. This were how this is what the theory of Herzberg. I believe I still have one. Okay, it's not showing. Okay, I'll cite one example that are hygiene factors, motivators. There are companies that the managers are good. The manager cares for the people. The manager always walking around in the office, treating the employees as friends. And despite of the setback wherein they cannot provide salaries 2 months delay, the people are still happy. Have you encountered that situation? Because of the motivational factor. So it's very important in a team, that connection. Let them feel that they are part of the team. Okay? Because if not, they will just be the usual people or employee that comes at 8 o'clock and leave at 5 o'clock, that they don't care. But if you put them in as part of that group, they will go extra mile. Okay? Even in your absence, they will deliver. That is the importance of motivation. Next, Douglas, that this Herzberg and Maslow's are the theories on identifying the employees or the staff or the people. But here, that Douglas MacGregor theory, it is the manager's perception. This is how managers perceive the employees. Okay. If I am the manager, I will looking at every employee differently. Because if the manager doesn't have this kind of knowledge, they will treat every employee the same. That all of you are not enjoying the work, so I will not give you any increment. So the perception will be uniform, but it's not. Same as the situational leadership, the approach should be different, right? And in theory, Douglas MacGregor theory, it is categorized into two. Wherein in the theory X, the manager now, not the person, the manager thinks or perceives that this employee doesn't like work, that this employee doesn't want to be micromanaged, that this employee has less creativity. On the other hand, the manager also thinks of something or perceives something, that this employee likes to work, this employee likes to take responsibility, and this employee is creative. So now, as a manager, if you identify which of the employees are in theory X and which of the employees are theory Y, it's very easy for you to manage your time. Because the theory X, you don't need to manage them. You don't need to supervise them. You don't need to stay with them side by side, coaching and teaching. At least you can now maximize your time to the theory X employees for them to be converted, to be motivated, and become a theory Y employee. So your focus will not be the same to all employees. Your focus now will be on those employees that are not motivated, doesn't like to work, or the employees that doesn't want to be directed, or the employees that are lazy or with little creativity. So that will be now the focus of your time. So if you can maximize your time there, certainly over time, these people or employee will be converted to theory Y. So if you are the manager, you have this kind of team, you will be relaxed. Because what you will be doing now is only to delegate. I have the task, please finish it in 7 days. I have this task, please finish this in 10 days. That's it. You don't have to tell them what to do. They will just deliver by themselves because they are motivated, they like to work, they take the responsibility, and they are very creative. So again, in this theory, It's the manager's perception or thinking about the employee. So now it's a role, your role now to identify what is type is this employee. It is category X or category Y. Because if it's category X, I will have to spend time with him. I'll bring him to take biryani for lunch this week. We have to talk. Ask him how can I help? Something like that. Okay? Because you cannot treat everyone with biryani. Okay. Now, next is negotiation. Conflicts always arise in the workplace, or in most cases, we negotiate. As employee, as a manager, or a senior lead, we negotiate. We negotiate with our contractors, with our subcontractors, with our client. We negotiate with even with our peers. And the best negotiation is negotiation about salary. Kasi sometimes we cannot demand, but there must be a negotiation somewhere. Okay. So there is an acronym for that RADPAC model. So RADPAC means rapport, analysis, debate, propose, agreement, and close. Okay. So in the negotiation, just consider the RADPAC. Before you negotiate for something, let's say job interview. Oh no, not in the negotiation of the salary after the interview. So the ideal there is before that negotiation, the first call, just build a report. From where are you? Okay, we're in India. Okay, all right. So we really live here in Doha. So just to know that you have interest on that person. How about much better if you met them face to face by just shaking hands, talking with them confidently. It will build rapport or connection. So that's one. Second, in general negotiation, of course, the HR will say, these are the only we can offer 20,000. But on the other hand, you demand for 30. But this is only our budget. Okay, let's say that's only your budget. So why is it, you have to analyze, why is it that they only have 20? So probably they notice that their project is only with limited budget that you can consider. Or from your side, probably, yes, I have like 30 or 40 last time. And probably this time I have to consider this. Because this is a smaller project, a smaller company, but probably I can get more. So maybe you can say, okay, let's say I can, if you cannot increase that even 2,000, probably you can just give me a lift, like a transport for free. Instead of using my car, just transport for free. Or you can add in my insurance, the dental and optical as an extra. It can be done. Okay? Or you can say, how about just adding me 2% every year? I can consider that 20,000, but add me 5% or 2% every year as a negotiation. Because you have to understand why is it that they only stop at 20. In most cases, they will say that's the only budget we have because of the project is at low budget. So you have to understand. Because if not, sometimes they will really give in if you demand for something. So can we meet in between? If they had within budget, they will say, yes, okay. Not 25, probably 23. We can meet at 23 or we can meet at 24. Then you can demand more. Okay, just free transport, extra in medical insurance, or something like that. Okay. So even if you have a car, demand for free transport. Because you will not be using your car anymore. You can sell your car and then consider it as an extra income on the monthly of the loss that you had. And then you have free transport. Okay. So that is the part of the debate, of the discussion or debate. So you propose the proposal. What if you can add something? Then once you have that agreement, that's the time that you will agree with that job offer or contract. So reach agreement on the best alternative acceptable to both sides. So this agreement should be finalized through a document, not just verbal. So once you're already there, we say, okay, just send the proposal now or the job offer. I will just sign and make it official. And the negotiation is closed. So always close with a document. Agree with a document, an evidence, or even email. Okay, this is to confirm that we agreed on the following. So that's enough document. So that is the negotiation technique in RADPAC model. Next, conflicts. So conflicts are always in the workplace. Okay. So this is one of the resolution. There are two underlying dimensions in conflict resolution. So if you have conflict, there are two opposing forces. The other force is focused on his interest, or let's say my interest. This is me. If we have conflict, but from your side, it's your interest. You're focusing on interest. You want to win. But I also, my interest, I want to win. So there, we have conflict because we don't have the same concern. So my concern here is concern for myself. So it is, I am assertive. I want to win. But if I will consider your interest, if I will consider yours, I will be empathetic. So it's like I have concern and I will give it to you. So that is about interest, assertive. If I will push for my interest, then I will be assertive. But if I will consider your interest, I will be empathetic. So this is where we come up with this quadrant. So if it is assertive, okay, if it is assertive, so okay, so from here, so the dimensions of conflicts. If it's assertive, so meaning, your assertiveness here, that do you want strong, that you want to win. You want to win. Okay. But on the other hand, if you are empathetic, you want others to win. So you want to give it, or to give the favor. Right? Okay. So one example. If you are competing in this sample, competing, meaning you want to win. You don't care about the feelings of others. Okay, because here is high empathetic. Here is low empathy. Here is high assertiveness, and here is low assertiveness. So you're highly assertive that you want to win the conflict. So you don't mind about the feeling of others. So it's low. So that is competing. Okay, it's like a win-loss situation. You win, the others will lose. Next is accommodating. Okay, the accommodating is you are empathetic to the other party. So you want them to win. You want to give it away. So in this particular point, your assertiveness is low and you are more empathetic. So it's like you don't want to, okay, you don't mind to lose and let that other party win. Win. So another conflict solution is avoiding. So there are conflicts that cannot be resolved. They will just be resolved by themselves. Later on, I will provide samples of that. So let's say avoiding. In avoiding, both of you will lose because you did not resolve the conflict. So meaning this is lose, both parties lose. Okay. Another one is collaborating. Okay, collaborating is both of you. This is a win-win situation. However, how both parties will lose? Huh? How both parties will lose? All right, because the conflict was not resolved. They just avoid. Both they just avoid. Oh, I don't want to negotiate this conflict. I don't want to resolve that conflict. So the conflict remains. So if that conflict remains, over time, it becomes a bigger conflict. Let's say, okay, you're just a minor conflict with your spouse, with your wife. Just a minor one. Because you did not resolve it, the following day, it becomes big. It becomes a big issue. Because both of you did not talk about it, you just avoided it. And then the following another day, it becomes bigger. You see, it happens. It happens. Okay. And the other one is collaborating. The collaborating part is both win-win, but it requires okay. I don't know. Let me check if I have sample. Okay, no. So it requires time and resources. Because probably if the conflict is related to contract that no one wants to give in, maybe they will say, okay, let's study, let us analyze. So they will assign resources. It will take time to resolve that conflict. So like one example now, political, we have that issue from Ukraine and Russia. They had a ceasefire. They are discussing now how both can win. They are collaborating now. Okay. And the best alternative in conflict resolution is always compromising. So the immediate, okay, let's say both of you want 100%, 100%. But in collaborating, yes, you may be able to achieve both 100%. But in compromising, no. Because both of you will give in for something. So probably we will arrive at 50-50. That this is compromising. The advantage of compromising is that probably it will take time. It's an immediate solution. Oh yeah, okay. Can we agree this? 50? How about you? 50? Okay. Done. Conflict is resolved. But on the collaborating, both of them don't want to give in. So they will study. It will take time. There will be some experts coming in. It happens in the contracts conflict. Okay. So now the question, when you don't have to win in every conflict, at which point you have to give in? So I will cite one example. Okay. Between a consultant and contractor, we are not always right. It's not always approved, or it's not always reject or approve. There are areas that somehow unacceptable. Okay, somehow unacceptable. But it can be accepted. Somehow, no, I can say, somehow there are discrepancy. Okay, there are, let's say, defects, but somehow can be accepted. Okay, can be accepted at that particular time. For reason one, it may not have an impact yet for the bigger picture, or it will not have an impact in the future activities. Okay, like for example, okay, are you both in civil works? Okay, electrical. All right. Okay. On the construction. Let me one. Let me have. Okay. Let's say one installation of equipment. Let's say pumps. There is a placing of pumps inspection. Okay. When they place the pump, there are some loose, maybe the dampers or the isolators, vibration isolators are not correct. Okay. So instead of rejecting it because it's not correct, you just have to, okay, for now, I will make it code B. Okay. But you have to replace it before you connect for the final functional test. So you are giving it for the other party to win because code B for them is enough. Okay. Although if you will just have a gap analysis, which is valid or not, it should be not, right? Because it's wrong. But it will not affect immediately or will not have impact immediately on the next activity. So what you will do, okay, consider it B so that you can claim at least 50-80% of that particular pump or equipment. So I will lose, but you will win. So at least in the next activity, before you have the functional test, ensure that it already has the correct isolated vibrators. So that is the reason that in our project, we usually, a minimal rejecting inspections. It has already been my advice to the team that as much as possible, negotiate. So if that really is 100% not acceptable, give them time. Give them time. Let's say another 24 hours to fix it rather than rejecting the inspection. Yeah.
Isn't your example somehow compromising also?
Okay. Compromising is is not, because you lose. As the consultant, it is your obligation to ensure that that particular work is compliant to that requirement, to the drawing, to the specification. But it was not compliant. Compromising is agreeing acceptable, let's say, product, acceptable services. So there's no damage, or it's like we are agreeing, both agreed that, okay, it will make.
It's a conditional.
Huh?
It's a conditional.
No, actually here, I will lose.
Ceasefire. For example, the ball is ceasefire.
Yeah, temporary. Okay. Ceasefire is a permanent. It's already there. Ceasefire 1 week, 1 month. Okay. I will make an example about compromising. Okay. So this is the lose, because it's your decision. Supposedly, it's not conformance, but you give it away because it's a small things. So small things you can give it away, but somehow in the competing is different. Let's say if it's a safety requirement that if you will not comply, somebody will die. It will cause accident. So you don't have to negotiate. You have to be assertive that I should implement, comply it. So that's the time that assertiveness should be there. So assertiveness or competing dimension of conflict resolution or style of conflict resolution requires if the issue will have an impact on regulation, safety, or morals. Let's say if it will damage the integrity of my company, I will not do that. Okay, this small inspection, anyway, we still have next stage.
That is competing, right?
Yeah, that is competing. So if it take note of this in the exam, if there are keywords about integrity, the prestige, it will damage the morals, then it's competing because it's non-negotiable. Okay. So now, in compromising, another one is ceasefire can be, but there is a compromise solution in conflict. Let's say similar. I'll make similar inspection. Okay, that inspection, isolation, the vibrators. You are aware of these vibrators, isolators, dampers, isolators. Okay, vibration isolators. Okay, let's say, okay, because you purchase it. Let's compromise. Okay, let's compromise. Make an RFI or request for information for you to use this and attach the calculation and let it be submitted to us. Then our team will assess. Then we will reduce the price. If it's capable to handle, then it's acceptable. Maybe only different in brand, but the capability can handle it, but the price will be reduced. So we are in the compromise. Okay, because we allow them to use this, but the company will win. The other party also will win because we can reimburse part of the cost. Okay, it's almost similar to collaborating, but collaborating is different. Okay, collaborating will take time. Let's say if it's a big issue, then you have to submit it to the client, and the client will have another designer. So it will take time because it will be a big discussion. Expert will justify that, yes, it is okay. No, it cannot be done. So until they agree on something, but it will take time for them to realize that it has to be resolved. So The difference between compromising and collaborating takes time and take a lot of resources, while in compromising is a little time and effort, you can agree on something. Okay. So sample of avoiding. There are things that you can avoid. Okay. You know, this office, what do you call this? Heritage, you know, the back, what do you call this? There is a talk behind your back. Should avoid that. Okay. If you hear something, I hear that that person told that you're not competent in this kind of work. Leave it. Leave it. If it's not true, leave it. That's another way. Because if you will respond back that, no, it's not true. Let's talk with him. Let's talk with that person. So it will escalate. So there are instances, based on your analysis, if it's not really worth discussing, just avoid it. But do not avoid conflict with your wife, because for sure the next day maybe we will not have any breakfast at all. Okay, all right. So, so factors in selecting approach, again, the value. So here we make a sample that the value for you is not really that much because it can be done later. But here the value for you is big because it will have an impact on your company, the prestige of your company, and it have an impact on the morals, the moral values. Then you have to come up with winning it, the argument or the conflict. So you also have to understand the consequence. Okay. If the consequence is high, it will cost you much, then make collaborative approach. But if the consequence is not much, it's like a sort of paperwork only. Let's say submit me the calculation and throw an RFI, then we will review and then that is compromising. Okay. So these are just basic. So in fact, in my professional life, oftentimes the small things I give it. Small things. But there are times that you have to be very strong. No, it cannot. And the good thing about that, because these people, this team will understand you, that once you say no, that means it's no. Because they give them many privileges, many opportunities, many, what do you call this, you give them favors, many favors, small favors. But at the time that you will say no, they will really respect you. Because for them, they say, it might be very important for him. Because for so many times, 10 times, he agreed with us, and now he says no. It might be very important to him. So let's not argue anymore. So it happens. But there are times that you have a colleague that even if it's acceptable, no, 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 no. So what will happen? Which one is acceptable to him? So you cannot even bother to understand which one is important. But if you are considering this empathetic approach, accommodating for small things, then the respect will be there. But in the future, if you say no, definitely no discussion at all. The other parties will just agree. Okay. So these are the techniques. Next, critical thinking and Socratic questioning. Okay. In the workplace, there are problems. Actually, it's almost the same as root cause analysis, the 5 whys, the way of questioning. Okay. So it involves all available resources to solve problem against a gut feeling. So critical thinking to resolve problem, right? Okay. There are professionals in our workplace that they solve problem or make decision because I have that experience in my own in my other project. The same, just because the gut feeling, just because of what they have experienced before, without facts, without any information or data. Okay, so this kind of critical thinking to resolve problem involves observational abilities. So yes, it might be you may hear that, yeah, somebody said, in my own project, in my previous project, we have done this to resolve. So with your observational abilities, you can say, yes, it might work, but you will proceed to the next questioning abilities. Okay, what did you do? What did you do on that previous project? So you will let that person to talk. So questioning abilities will be there. Let me check if I have that. Okay, so questioning abilities. Then while they're discussing about that same scenario, if applicable here, then you have to try to imagine if it really works or not. So you must have that imaginative abilities. Then inferential abilities about this coordination. If you want to experiment, then you have to experiment. But it's not practical in construction. Okay. Then the argument analysis abilities. So argument is not really a fight or a conflict. It's argument about the point or the topic. So probably we'll be asking, is it practical to use here? Do we have a basis for that? Okay. Because based on our contract, this is the requirement. I believe we cannot use it. Or I believe it's the same. So the argument analysis ability. So these are the abilities that you need if you have that critical thinking to resolve problem. So this is where the managers are paid. You know why? We will always wonder why my manager is not doing anything and he is paid double of my salary. For me, the whole day I'm outside working at the project site, but I'm only receiving half of his salary. Because the managers are not paid for the task. They are paid for this decision making. Right? Okay. So that is the reason that it's very important, this critical thinking skills, these motivational skills, the conflict resolution skills, and the negotiation skills. Because on the day-to-day lives, the managers, these are the managers' tools on a daily operational work. And that is the reason that they're paid high because of those skills. Okay, so be ready to lead as managers. Okay. So Six Sigma also is an approach to solve problem. So in Six Sigma, we have another topic for that in the tools in section 4. But just an overview, what is Six Sigma? Six Sigma have 5-phase approach. So in the first approach is define the problem. If there is a situation as a critical thinking method, you will ask, what happened? What really happened? You have defined the problem. The problem is the contractor have installed a size 25 mm pipe instead of the 50 or instead of the 32. That's the problem. So why? You say, why? Because they don't have supply. Root cause analysis, 5 whys. And why they don't have supply? Because they missed the ordering from their procurement. Why? Because it was not part of their schedule to work on this area. Why? Because they have diverted the resources to other area before and they just came up to this schedule today. So coming up with those 5 whys or more whys, you can come up with defining the problem. So the problem is they have installed a wrong pipe. Now, measure. Measuring can be gap analysis. Measuring can be a calculation. Measuring can be a test or inspection. So now, on measuring, the specification says 32 and you installed 25. So that means it's not acceptable. Okay? So, analyzing the facts, let's say analyzing, yes, it cannot be, really not acceptable. Then improve. Do you have to change? So really, you have to change from 25 size to 32 size. So once it is changed, what you will do now is to monitor that to happen again. So it's like a PDCA, but here it's very specific. Okay. So another issue, define the problem. The problem is that what quality work? What do you think problem occurs in your company? Give me one problem. Situation in your company now. Quality issue. Give me one, just as a first sort of example. Anything? How about you? Workmanship. Okay. So one problem is workmanship. Okay, you define. The problem is workmanship. So if you measure, probably the first measure you say is that what is expected? Expected it should be clean. What do you call this? As per the drawing, as per the specification. Oh no, it might be comply, but workmanship in a way is that there is something that was missing. Maybe instead of the clamps that were not tight, there are some leakages, or or anything that are minor non-conformity. So what should be the situation? Going back to 5 whys, you can come up with many questions, or probably you will say, probably the workers were not trained. That's the reason. So you have to, based on your analysis, because the measure, there was really a gap. So in your analysis, yes, probably the people were not really trained. So we have to conduct training to improve. Okay. So to improve workmanship, the main root cause was the training, lack of knowledge. So because if they have the right knowledge, even without supervision, they will make it right. Would you agree? Agree with that? So training, probably you can go, okay, whether it's that method statement, let's conduct a refresher. Let's go with that ITP. Let them know that every stage there should be an inspection. So training of method statement, training of inspection and test plan. Okay, so let me. So you improve. And for you to check, to track that it will not happen again, you will have to assess these same people are doing something wrong. Why is it? We already have talked about it. So just follow what has been learned. Because it might be that the group that you have trained the following week, half of it has been transferred to other location and a new group came in. It happens, especially in projects, in construction. So you cannot really perfect it. Yeah. So monitoring and control is important. So now there's another new team. So again, train them. Train. This is the role of the quality at the field. So if something happened, I believe it's not about the materials, it's not about the environment. The main root cause of those failures of the defects are the knowledge. So that is important for us, that communication skills to convey the message. So bring with you your method statement, bring with you your RTP. If there are 5 people, come, let's sit. This is the drawing. This is the method. Step 1, step 2, and so on. So just simple. You can, even 10, 15 minutes refresher, it will not delay them. Then they will understand, yes, now I understand. So they will follow now that procedure. Because oftentimes, the workforce are just being deployed thinking that they know what to do based on their experience in the previous experience, previous projects, previous company, but somehow not applicable to the current situation. So this is why we require training. So I believe you have that training plan in your organizations, in your company. So the high level are the quality induction, the safety induction. But along the way, every procedure that you prepare, you communicate by conducting orientation and training. Every method statement that you have, you arrange with the team, subcontractor or contractor and consultant side, you conduct training 10, 15 minutes for that methodology. You're conducting that. Yeah. So that everyone has one understanding about that method. Okay. And then you will have another QC team. Okay, they will do this kind of work. This is the ITP for that. So be sure every stage of that, we will be raising inspection. We will be inspecting. We will just be witnessing. So that's the tool that we have in quality to ensure that they comply with that requirements. So we have method, we have inspection and test plan, we have procedures, and so on. So it's another thing using Six Sigma, the make approach to resolve problem. Socratic questioning. So actually, this is Socrates before. Okay, this is the story. Socrates utilized educational method that focused on discovering answers by asking questions to his students. I can use the Socrates style by just not discussing what is here, by just asking you question. Like, for example, earlier this, I would just say, problem. What do you have in your company? Then you will answer what the problem. Then how did you know that it's really a problem? Okay, I checked the specification is really wrong. And based on our checklist, it's not really acceptable. So there is something wrong. Then what did you do? I will ask third question. What did you do? I analyzed that this really cannot be negotiated. It should be really replaced. Okay, this cannot be done through an RFI, through a letter. It should be replaced. Okay. So what did you do? I advised them to replace and then ensure that it will not happen again. So I train again that people for that particular work method so that they will not forget. Then after that,